Welcome to the In the Family Room, everyone. My name is Tracy Wade. I am your host. I want to say hello to each and every one of you. Listen, I think that, we have the entire season mapped out, and I believe that this episode is going to be one of my absolute favorites because I have two of my favorite individuals with me. I am calling this episode Ladies Night. And with me tonight are my daughter in laws. I say daughter in laws, they're my daughters, but these two young ladies are actually married to two of my sons. And this is what the family room is all about. This is where love, faith, and family meet up. And I'm excited to have this conversation about the relationship between mother-in-laws and daughter-in-laws. And so we're getting ready to chop it up, ladies. But first and foremost, I want to introduce both of them. First, we have Addie Bradford. She is married to my second oldest son, Jordan Bradford. And then we have Mrs. Haley Bradford. Haley is married to my youngest son, Jamal. Hello, ladies.
Hello,
Hey.
hello. What's going on?
Are you excited to be with me tonight?
Very
Very
excited.
excited. This is
There's like, it's what? Say it
it's
again.
it's well needed. I love like chatting with the ladies, so I'm excited.
I did good. I did good. So, we were talking a little bit right before we went live, and one of the reasons why I wanted to do this particular episode is because I believe that the relationship between the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law is often attacked by the enemy. And the reason why is because there is something about when two women are aligned spiritually as it pertains to the family, where the enemy doesn't have room to get in, if that makes sense. When I talk to you guys, whether it's as just three of us, or I'm talking to you guys individually, you all know, and I make it very clear that as far as prayer is concerned, I got y'all back. You know what I'm saying? You all are first as the wives of my sons, but at the same token, I always wanted you all to understand that you got one side of him and I got the other side of him in prayer. And so I believe that that's a message that, needs to be needs to be we need to work on talking more about this particular dynamic. And so I'm going to start with you, Addie. Have you ever, had an opportunity to kind of grow up and like witness? Have you had examples of of mothers and mother-in-laws growing up? Either of you. I'm gonna start with you, Addie. Like, have you ever seen that before? And what did that look like as well?
Yeah. For me, not so much. I come from a family that is predominantly female, and the age gap between that is very vast. And so, I have a few sisters that one that's married, two actually now, but I've never really gotten to see that mother-in-law dynamic in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, I mean, if we're gonna start as simple as my mom and her mother-in-law, not so much. There was never a relationship there. So yeah, I guess long story short, no, I've never witnessed that, and this would be the first of that is in my family as far as it being a healthy relationship and something that my younger sisters
Mm-hmm.
can witness. Yeah.
What about you, Haley?
Yeah, I would say pretty much the same thing Addie has said. I in my family, I haven't really witnessed any mother-in-law, at least healthy relationships. I know my mom speak like she's not married. her and my dad never got married, but I did grow up like witnessing her calling my dad's mom. But they just never seemed to really have that closeness of a relationship. It was just kind of like, you're my mom by default, but I never really like witnessed them like actually be close. And even now, like as an adult, I still don't really see that relationship like really growing beyond like surface level. So yeah, I never really like had that example of what a good, healthy mother-in-law, daughter-in-law relationship looks like.
Wow, that's so interesting. I mean, I think it's the same for me. Growing up, I did not witness that. My
Yeah.
parents were married, and at one point before they got divorced. So I did see the dynamic between my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, and my mother. And it was like, I was thinking about this last night, because it was like, I've never thought of this before until I was preparing for this show. But it was like my grandmother was very, she wasn't like a bossy person, feisty, but it wasn't that she disliked my mother. I got a sense of that it was kind of like, well, she's married to my son, and I'm going to be there for my son and my grandchildren. So this woman comes with the package, if it makes sense.
Yeah.
And so, but there was no investment, if that makes sense. Like I don't remember, you know, really them having a closeness. Now, you guys know I used to be married to your father-in-law, and whereas with his mother, it was very different. We were very close, and it really, I'm gonna be honest, it really honestly started with her welcoming me into their family. And so I spent a lot of time with her. I spent, I used to be at the house a lot. I made sure I brought the children a lot. We did things together. And so it was, there was an investment there, but it started with her. And I'm grateful for that. And you guys know, I lost my mother when I was very, very young. I mean, when I was in my early 20s. And so she stepped up even more to be a mother figure in my life. And so I'm forever grateful to her for that. So now we're in this dynamic. And so to give you guys just kind of like the short version of what took place with the two of these, with these two individuals right here and my sons. And Addie had been dating for a couple of years, and then Jordan proposed in the summer of 2023. 2024 came around, so we were anticipating them to get married. And so 2024 came and they got married. Now, what we were not anticipating at the time was Jamal, my youngest, and Haley. Like they literally got married a month apart from each other. I think a month and a day, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yo.
Totally surprised. They just wanted to do it God's way. I was prepared for Addie's. I was prepared for Jordan to get married. I wasn't prepared for Jamal. I was like, okay, but that's my son. He's just always moved like that. He moves the way he wants to move and what works for him. And so I've had to learn to just respect that. And so let me ask you guys, and I want you all to jump in, and you all have questions, feel free to jump in. But what was your first impression of me as your mother-in-law, Haley? Like when you first met me?
I think honestly, mostly just very nervous.
Were you nervous?
Yeah, I was nervous.
Yeah.
Just because of past experiences. At the time, Jamal and I were like dating, and I just had a bad experience with someone's mother in the past. So I was more just concerned about how you would perceive me, because I knew that I had a very introverted kind of personality that a lot of people might not be used to. So it might be kind of hard to like accept, if especially like you're very outgoing. So I was just very nervous about how you would perceive me. I really wanted you to like me. Um, but honestly, it was a good conversation. Like I still remember like the talk we had. I felt very like comfortable talking to you. I definitely didn't feel like you were like judging me, or like you know just didn't make me feel welcome. Like it was basically just like a talk like this where we're just getting to know each other. And that really went a long way because Jamal knew
Yeah.
about my past and he knew about some of the concerns that I had. Um, so just seeing that like difference of like just two different experiences, and kind of like seeing how all like the fears that I had were really just, you know, in my head, and like a lot of those concerns I had kind of um, got resolved like the more we got to know each other. I definitely think that it was a good first impression for sure.
I love it. I love it. I thought you were really quiet, and it was like a quiet but observant, if that makes sense. Very observant. Like I just felt like I could tell that you were very discernful. And I my fear was that I did have a fear. My fear was that you would be too afraid to open up to me, because you were so quiet. And so, we have such a very vulnerable family dynamic with my sons. And so we're very open. It was not even just my sons. Y'all met y'all aunties. Y'all know how your aunties and your other cousins are. You know what I'm saying? Like we're very vocal. And so, I wanted to respect the fact that you were introvert, and are quiet, but I was like, but I want to get to know her too. And it didn't take long. You began to really open up. And again, I think it goes back to what I was saying before. I believe that that initial investment, it has to come from the mother-in-law, because she's the oldest, and so she's supposed to be the wisest. Not that we push. That's not what we should do, but we should at least say, hey, I'm here. I want to get to know you as an individual with no hidden motives. No, of course, I wanted to get to know you because I'm going to be honest. I wanted to vet you. I wanted to know more. Like, is this the right woman for my son? So, and then, what is she about? Where did she come from? Like, these are all of the things. And so, but you did open up. How about you, Addie?
I wish I had that experience. My experience, oh my God. While Haley was talking, I was really thinking about the first time we had met, and it was over Zoom, but I felt really intimidated. This is probably the first time you're going to hear this, and it's nothing bad,
Okay.
but it wasn't that you were intentionally being that way, but I felt like you were vetting me, like you were saying,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
I could understand why. Knowing my husband, I could understand why I was being vetted. Um, but the moment we got to talking, we just started yapping and couldn't stop yapping, and it's been that way since. But yeah, that first initial impression, it was intimidating. It was, because you were
Yeah.
asking, intentional questions, inquisitive questions about, me. And I think altogether, like there was a lot of speculation around Jordan and I's relationship, because the majority of our relationship was long distance, me in one country and him in another. So naturally, as a mother, I could understand the concern for that. And even the big concern when your son says, I'm going to marry her. So I can understand why it was one of those conversations on Zoom where it's like, okay, so tell me, and you got straight to it. I remember it. Hi, Addie, nice to meet you. Tell me about yourself. Just like that. So straightforward. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, and I started sharing, but I don't know, like getting to know you over that period of time and having the level of maturity I have now, it wasn't with the intentionality to intimidate me, but to understand who I am, where I come from, what I'm bringing to the table, not only in the physical but the spiritual. And that was the goal, was to get to know me, where I come from, you know, all the things that I'm bringing along. Because if if I were the person that he were to marry, now that we are married, then how can you as a mom cover your son in prayer and cover our marriage in prayer if you don't know, you know, the woman in your son's life? So I think in that way, it did come across intimidating, but I felt the urgency and the need to be transparent and vulnerable with you. So that way I could show you that I know that this is what I want. So that was my experience. Yeah.
Wow. I never knew that. No, you never
Yeah.
told me that. But you're absolutely right. I was you were being vetted. And I believe it's important, and not because, well, I'm the, queen bee, or I'm the, the mother. No, 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 no. I know my sons, and my prayers for them are very specific according to what the Lord has shown me pertaining to their purpose. And I needed to know, okay, does she line up with where God is going to take him? Does Haley line up with where Jamal is taking him? And so that's one of the reasons why. But then the other reason, I never expected for you all not to come perfect. I wasn't looking for perfect daughter-in-laws. That was never the intent. Like, we all have a past. We've all made poor decisions, including your mother-in-law here. No one is exempt. But I needed to know how to pray based off of your background. How to pray, what do I need to know? What are the generational setbacks? Because these things impact my future grandchildren. And so these are the reasons why. And even with you, Addie, it came a little later with Haley, but I was very intentional about mentoring you to become a wife. You had other mentors, but I also had conversations with you as well. You would come to me about different things, and what are your thoughts on this? And I would just give you the wisdom of the Lord as it pertained to it. And so I think that is the part that is one of the things I believe mothers don't always understand when it comes to this relationship, is learning how to partner with the wife. There is a silent partnership there. Because to be honest, I'm just gonna be real. Let me keep it 100. The wife is the gatekeeper. If you don't know that, the wife is the gatekeeper. And so if you don't have a wife that you can get along with, that you love, and she loves you, it's gonna be real. It's gonna be a real, real tricky thoughts. What are your thoughts on that, Haley?
Yeah, I definitely feel like we definitely, like, I just as important as it was for you to, like what you were saying, like initiate a good relationship, I also wanted to have that with you, because I didn't want to just be like his wife and like that's my mother-in-law, but like we don't really have a relationship. um so I definitely feel like that's like been a really important part of just this journey, like knowing that, like, if I want to talk to you about something, I can talk to you. It's not just like, oh hey mom, how you doing, like, like we've had conversations, we, like you said, I've gotten vulnerable with you, I've opened up with you, and I feel like every time we talk, I do wind up like opening up to you and getting vulnerable, whether I want to or not. But that's just because of the relationship that I feel like we have. Like it's comfortable, it's safe, and yeah, I definitely feel like it's important for us to have that dynamic for sure.
Amen. I love it. I love it. Okay, you guys got any questions? Y'all, anybody got one question for me? Any questions?
I had a question. Like, before you obviously like met, well, I'll say me and Addie, what were some things that you felt like you like prayed for in like particular when it comes to the type of women that you wanted your sons to marry?
Mm-hmm.
Well, with Jordan, one of the things that I prayed for was for a wife that would challenge him, and also that would challenge him and would, he's probably going to help me kill me when but hold him accountable. I knew he was going to need someone very strong and that would know how to allow him to lead because he is an alpha male to the high. I mean, he is alpha male. But so there's a part that like I knew he was going to need someone that was going to be know how to submit a certain way, but at the same time not be vocal in regards to accountability because I could see the area that the enemy was trying to attack, like how he would use him to come out, to come after him. So I knew he was going to need a woman that was going to be a voice of reason and not afraid to speak up. With Jamal, I feel like Jamal was going to need like one of the things I prayed for concerning him was that he was going to need a quiet place, to rest his head, the rest. Jamal's mind goes about 80 seconds in the seconds, if that makes sense. He is extremely brilliant, has a lot of great ideas and will carry them out and he's not afraid to try anything. And so when you have someone that has that kind of vision, they have to be able to have a place that they can rest and trust. And so I with him, and also he has a prophetic mantle on him, so that he's a seer and he hears from the Lord as well. Jordan does too, but Jordan's is more. He has more a stronger prayer mantle on him, and so I knew that whoever this woman was going to be, as far as Jordan was concerned, it could not be someone that would shut down the gift of prayer, his heart for prayer. And with Jamal, it had to do with him not shutting down his prophetic gift. So, him being able to develop and encourage in regards to that. One of the things I love about Haley is she's quiet, but she don't miss nothing. And I'm gonna leave it right there. And so I'm grateful for that because she, even as a young woman, she knows how to move and she knows when to speak and when not to. And I believe that that's something that you both are learning. I see that growth taking place within the both of you, even in as short as a year, because it's been almost a year for you both. So yeah, that's a great question, Haley. Thank you.
Thank you.
I got a question.
All right. Two? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I got a question. I have so many. I don't know which one to ask, but I'm just going to leave it to the Holy Spirit. As a mom of majority boys, like all boys, I'm just like of all boys. How did you nurture the emotional intelligence in these young men and prepare them for their wives?
Do you see that? Is it very evident? Because I'm not in your intimate space like that. So do you see the emotional intelligence? That's awesome. You know how powerful that is for males. I didn't shut down their emotions. That's how. Exactly what we're doing now is what we did when I was raising them. I created space in the family room for them to cry, and for them to cry, for them to express themselves. One of the things that because with boys sometimes they'll want to break stuff. They're very, you know. And so instead of them doing that, like if they got upset, I would say use your words. What are you feeling? Tell mommy what's going on. And sometimes it wasn't that I wasn't. There were moments where I never coddled them, if that makes sense.
Right.
But I did when I needed to, and then I would back up. So I was the kind of mom, and I'm still like this. You guys know that. I come in and then I pull out.
Yeah.
I come in and then I pull out. Even when I was raising them, there would be decisions that some parents felt that they needed to make, but I would allow my children to make them because it was their life. And then I would be like, well, what are your thoughts? Like when they got to a certain age, like when they became teenagers. And so I would be like, well, what are your thoughts on that? And so emotional intelligence, developing that with them was very intentional because I knew men who I have seen men, especially since been out in these dating streets, who did not know how to open up. They don't know how to connect. They don't know how to express. They don't know what intimacy is. I didn't want that for my sons. I wanted them to be able to express what they were feeling and their thoughts with their future wives. So yes, that was very intentional. And I had you all in mind when I did it. Awesome. So let me shift it a little bit. Did you guys, like, when you all met me, did you all envision what our relationship would be like? Like, did you already have something in mind?